about today is another amazing example of that. And, I come, as you guys know, from the KW world. And when you're at KW, you think we've got the best culture, right? Until you get to eXp. And you realize that there's a whole nother level of collaboration that can occur and does occur in this company. And, because we're organized as one corporate entity, all 87,000 of us own stock in the same company. So, like when Tom and I joined Keller Williams Roseville, we had a really strong, at one point, that office actually became the number one most profitable KW in the country. But we did 5 more offices in the Sacramento metro area. And they actually competed against each other. And so it was an interesting dynamic, right? And so that's a beautiful thing that we have in this company is the collaboration because of our co-ownership. But now with co-sponsorship, we're now at a whole new level. And it was interesting because Tom brought me in on an appointment this morning with an absolute dynamic individual. And the individual happens to have a relationship with, Spring Benson, actually, who, as you guys know, has joined us, and she is just a total rock star. And in the past, this individual would have had to choose. And now they don't. Now they could have Spring and Tom. And it's just like, wow. And so we're going to talk about co-sponsorship. We're going to talk about how it works. We're going to talk about how it affects your upline or not. But the thing that I want to encourage you guys to do is I want you to be thinking about what unique ability that you have. And for some of you, you may say, well, it's just my location, right? Like you may be in a spot where you could provide some mentorship and support for an agent that would be sponsored in your area and maybe get named co-sponsor because of that, right? But I've talked to agents that, in fact, I was talking to Scott Jensen in Denver, or from Denver, and he has developed a tremendous niche around senior advisors. He did 17 transactions, referrals from senior advisors last year. And so I talked to him about setting up a mastermind, but keep in mind, if someone was trying to recruit somebody that wanted to develop that part of their business, so get into the senior communities, Scott would be a great person to be a co-sponsorship with, right? And so you want to become known as having a unique ability or knowledge in a special area so that people would want to actually even reach out to you throughout the company and say, hey, will you team up with me on this deal? Mm-hmm. Right? And one of the reasons why this individual is considering naming Tom is because Tom and I have a track record of being able to attract independent brokers, and we have some specialized knowledge in that area. Right? And so, again, I want you to understand how co-sponsorship works, but the way that you really make it work for you is if you can get a special ability in that area and you become a magnet because of it. Now, the flip side of that is now you have 87,000 people as a technical resource for you. Like, let's say that you're Treva in Denver and you are trying to recruit, you happen to have a relationship with an independent brokerage with 150 agents in Florida. Okay, well, we do have knowledge to bring that broker on. But what if we have an office situation? Well, what Treva can do is she can go and figure out, maybe, let's say it's in Orlando, who's got an office in that market that may be willing or interested in being a co-sponsor and bringing that 150 agents into their office. Well, now she's created a partnership that has created an additional reason why that 150 agent brokerage would want to come over and join eXp and her, right? And so, like I'm telling you guys, develop a unique ability, or let people know what that unique ability is. Keep in mind, you also now, in our company, we have people that that have unique abilities in every possible category that you can think of, right? So if you get somebody that you feel like is above your pay grade, you need not fear, because we can help you connect with somebody that helps you take that deal down. Does that make sense? Okay.
Sure. Let me jump in. And one example is commercial. I mean, if you have someone that is a commercial agent or broker, I mean, Paul Frank is an amazing commercial broker, and he has connections all over the country. So there's just unlimited opportunity.
Absolutely.
Don, can I share a scenario where this really quick?
Yeah.
I wish they had this 2 years ago. So I was in conversation with a great team in like South Carolina. He was an amazing guy. I cold called him and he was like, okay, we are moving over. And then we met with his wife, and his wife was like, uh-oh, well, we have this strong relationship with a coach in our area that's helped us for decades with eXp, and he'd been talking to me. And so they had more loyalty to this guy, and they ended up joining eXp under that other guy. And I just watched, kind of said, okay, sounds good. And I got nothing from it. We could have done a co-sponsor there. And
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's joined eXp and he's awesome. And I see him at
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, you are a stockholder, but now you could also be the co-sponsor or the sponsor. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between being a sponsor and a co-sponsor. Okay. Let's go back to Treva. If Treva is working on this agent in this team, or brokerage, independent brokerage in Orlando, if she is the sponsor, then her upline will be the benefactor. So everything is still intact. Jackie is her sponsor, and then Russell is Jackie's sponsor, Amir, Tom, Don, right? Okay. If Treva takes the position of co-sponsor, it stops with her. Okay. And the upline of that local Orlando office, let's say, will be the benefactor. Okay. So when you're thinking about doing this, ultimately, what I think you really want to do is ask what's in the best interest of the person that is joining the company. Okay, so for example, in the scenario that I just outlined, Treva brings them on. We get to have them share an office with another broker. That's a nice benefit, right? But in terms of the ongoing support, gosh, having Jackie, who's been a attractor, right, and the rest of us having supported roll-ins with independent brokerages, odds are, if that person wants to do attraction, we're probably going to be more valuable. Okay. Now, if that person's not going to do attraction and want to get other independent brokers and just want to stay local, you could make an argument that the other team should be the sponsor and Travis should be the co-sponsor. Okay. I would say though that if it's a doubt about what's going to be better, the way that Russ Lagan said is who if we did not have a co-sponsorship program, who would have been the sponsor? Like if Jackie was the first point of if Trevor was the first point of contact, clearly she would be the sponsor, right? So I think that that's a good way to look at it, is that in the absence of the program, who would be the sponsor? And that's your answer if everything else is equal. Okay. So what I think would be really interesting is if people had opportunities that they wanted to pursue. You know what comes to mind for me when I think about the co-sponsorship is I think it's going to empower people that don't normally feel like they have the ability to take down something. I think they're going to be able to now do some sponsoring that they would not have otherwise been able to do. Patrick, does anything come to mind for you? I mean, obviously you are a very established recruiter, but what comes to mind for you?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me is opportunity, right? If we look at this from an opportunity standpoint, it's like trying to be the master of everything and all the balls fall, right? It's because we're trying to spread too thin. We're trying to, so by doing this, I mean, I'm working on it right now, right? With an indie that has commercial and has residential, and then there's two other commercial agents. And candidly, I am not a commercial agent, nor will I ever pretend to be one. I know enough to know what an APOD is, and then, right, like realize that I'm playing in a game that I'm not going to chance. And so bringing in those, like Paul's fantastic, right? I've had great calls with him, and we met in person in Cabo, and I'm super impressed. So I can't wait for us to work together as partners. And he specializes in something that I don't, and I'm not going to try to. So I think there's a great opportunity here. I really do.
Yeah. Well, and what the beauty of this thing is that it doesn't take anything away from Patrick to do it. You know, at Real, by the way, they have a co-sponsorship program, but the way that they did it was that they split it in half, and then the company took a 10% surcharge off the top. So if Patrick takes that same scenario with that commercial agent, he'd make 40% of what he would make at eXp, right?
Yeah.
So
It,
yeah. And you guys, it's also think like Patrick is thinking, where it's not just can you acquire the commercial agent or the independent broker, but what sort of support are they going to have once they get here? Okay, like where I am in my stage of the game, I don't necessarily need more agents in order to retire. You know, I've got enough to be out of the rat race. So what goes through my mind is quality of life. And so I'm going to actually do a lot of co-sponsoring because I want that person as my support partner, right? Because I want to be able to go off to Morocco and not be working all the time. I want them to feel like they've got support because of my co-sponsor.
Hey, Don,
he-
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
I think, you started the conversation today talking about collaboration. You know,
Yeah.
most of us on the line here or on the call here today started with just being able to sponsor somebody. So if we really push this, I mean, right off the get-go, they're going to see collaboration. And how big of an opportunity is that going to be for us to actually scale this and even on a bigger and better, you know? So seeing that collaboration right away, you know, seeing somebody that could be across the country and you're bringing somebody in to help them, you know, just opens their eyes. I think the opportunity to really bring more people on more rapidly is just increased immensely this way.
And I
100%.
think we have Paul Frank just jumped on here. Paul, are you there, Mr. Commercial?
I don't see him.
I
but
did
he's-
see him pop in
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
for
we'll
a
have him.
second.
So Don,
You guys,
I also
ahead,
just
Becky.
drew a quick visual of what this looks like, kind of like what Russ Lagan did. It's so not to his skill. I'd love to share it. I think it really helps to understand the sponsor, co-sponsor, and the revenue share that's not shared and some that is. Would you mind if I shared that?
Oh, no, I think that would be great. And by the way, if you guys have not watched Russ Lagan's video on this, please do. And Megan, if you'll put that in the Facebook group so that people can access that, that would be great.
So if I could just explain this, you know, you got the sponsor. So let's just say my scenario with Alan in South Carolina. I would be the sponsor. And this coach that he had would be the co-sponsor.
Mhm.
And so in this case, I would co-sponsor coach who sponsored Alan, and I and the whole team above me, I would get the benefit of all the downline revenue share, and my upline would get the benefit of the revenue share. However, this coach that sponsored Alan would get the benefit of the downline revenue share.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. Also, that sponsor, Coach Joe, let's call him Coach Joe, he would get the benefit of the FLQA, sorry, FLQA. And he
Mhm.
would get the benefit of the downline revenue share, but his
Right.
upline would not get the benefit of the revenue share. And I
Yeah.
just think this is really important to understand. The sponsor is there, the co-sponsor, sorry, is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have Paul Frank here now. Paul, are you there?
I am.
Hey, Paul.
Can you hear me? Good to see you.
We were just talking about you, and we were saying that you are a fantastic example of somebody that is well versed in the commercial space, obviously working that, and would make a magnificent co-sponsor. Patrick James has apparently done a call or two with you and's been very impressed. And I think that because you've become known in the eXp world for that, man, you must be just giggling with the opportunities that are going to be coming to you, huh?
Well, it's interesting. I was on a call with Leo and Sean and John the other day, and you're correct. I sort of became the guy that everybody brought to get recruit across the finish line, because especially with residential agents, they get some interest, but that fine tuning in the last story they were having problems with. And happy to help everybody, in love with this platform. Biggest mistake I ever made in my life was not listening to Brent and Joey for 5 years. But the challenge has been that commercial agents that are recruited and get over, even if I'm successful, which almost 100% of the time I have been, I'm not invested in their long-term success and coaching and all of that, because they're not in my organization. So
Yeah.
with this co-sponsoring, it just totally changes it, because I'm licensed all over the country, so I can embrace them and bring them in and coach them and help them so they have a community. And it really is going to help with retention of those agents.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. And, I was saying earlier that, we've enjoyed a wonderful level of collaboration in this company because one of the reasons I believe is because we all own stock in the same company. That being said, like I've been helping somebody try to land a 60 agent independent brokerage. And when this co-sponsorship thing came up, I brought it to their attention because they still haven't landed them. And I had the person like at first in goal, right? And so now, though, I pointed out, I said, hey, I'll still help you no matter what, right? Because I had been helping, I'll continue to help. But the difference is that if they're an independent broker, they probably know quite a few other independent brokers. Well, I can't keep coming back and helping them land them, and you're not qualified. So if you want me to help them get other independent brokers, you probably want to have me be the co-sponsor, right? So that's a
Exactly.
case where I'll be the co-sponsor. My upline's not going to benefit in this case, but rightly so, because in this case, he was the one that brought the relationship to the party. I'm just being brought in as sort of like you have been brought in, Paul. And before you came online, one of the encouragements that I've been asking people to do is really think about what is your unique ability. Like Kevin, for example, has been a team leader, in a 500 agent real estate office, right? So if somebody is trying to land a team leader, he could be a fantastic co-sponsor in that situation, right?
Yep.
And so you want to just ask yourself, and it could be, I've mentioned somebody has an expertise in being a senior advisor. Well, if somebody wants to work in that space, there's an area of expertise. And you might say, well, there isn't anything I do special. Okay, well, by the way, nobody's stopping you from developing a niche, right? Going out and getting specialized knowledge is well within everyone's grasp.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, this thing is this co-sponsoring is just brilliant, but it's amplified on the commercial side. And like I tell everybody, I have literally never sold a house in my life. So that side of the ball, I have no idea how to do it. But the commercial side, and as why Sean and Leo and everybody send these people to me, is that I'm the poster child for not doing this. I had my own development and brokerage companies for 35 plus years with my initials on it, and I'm a forever no guy. So there's literally no concern or reservation that these people have on the commercial side that I didn't have, and I think that's why it resonates so well. But to your point, if you want to convert a residential person, I am not the right person. And the last thing for you is it is definitely not a quid pro quo. There are going to be situations where a co-sponsoring isn't what somebody wants on this call or in eXp, and I'm still more than happy to help convert because I'm passionate about the difference that this will make in commercial agents' lives, especially. So if anybody needs help, I'm always available. But long term, this co-sponsoring is just huge.
Yeah, and I think that Paul's making a great point, and that's exactly what I told this individual that I did bring it to their attention that co-sponsorship was available, but I also reminded them that I'll help them regardless. So I think you want to have that position because that's the culture of our company, right?
Absolutely.
It's just they need to understand the pros and cons of both decisions, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Does anybody have a unique relationship with somebody in real estate where they feel like, I'd like to bring them into the company, but they're in Florida or they're in Tennessee and I'm not? Patrick, you've got your hand up. It might be for a different reason. Do you want to, while people are thinking about if they've got a unique relationship where they might seek out a co-sponsor, why don't you offer what you want to share?
Yeah, I guess my question would be, and great to see you, Paul, is when is it not applicable? Right? Like, kind of give me an example. I know, Jackie, we've talked a ton about this, and just for kind of for the group, in your opinion and in Tom's opinion, Paul, in your opinion, when is this not applicable? Meaning, if it's location, are you in the same location? If it's, I know the spots where it is applicable. My question would be on the other side of the fence.
Yeah,
Well,
I would
first of
say-
all, excuse me, if they're in your same 7 level line of sponsorship, obviously that's no bueno. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there is one consequence of naming a co-sponsor, and that is that you won't get the 7th level.
Yep.
Okay. And the majority of people in eXp never get to the 7th level with people's organization. So I'm not going to say you should lose a lot of sleep over that. Okay. But so what you have to, I will tell you though, that over the long term, and when I say long term, think in 5 to 7 year time frame, you will have a significant number of people ending up on your 7th level. So that is one consequence. So what you have to ask yourself, Patrick, is the extra value that the co-sponsor will bring, is that going to more than compensate for the loss of income, which I will have by not getting that 7th level? Okay.
Hey, Don, one point of clarification, and maybe I'm not understanding it. You're just saying the 7th level for that arm, not 7th level in totality, correct?
That's right. No, it's
Okay.
just for what is built
Got it.
with that individual. Yeah.
Real quick to answer your question from my perspective on where it doesn't work. Sorry, helicopter's coming by. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
I get calls from commercial agents like Donnie Lou down in LA, and a couple people in Florida that are in other organizations. So if somebody on this call has a commercial agent and they are trying to convert or get somebody on board, it might not be a situation where they want a co-sponsor. Maybe they don't even need my help long term. So those are the situations where I'm happy to help get them across the line, regardless. But that might not be beneficial to them to do the co-sponsor. That agent may want to, hold them to their own.
Yeah, sure. Clark, what did you have to offer?
Yeah, I had a situation. Hey, Paul, it's great to see you. And hey, Paul does a phenomenal job. He's helped me on several situations, just total giver. And plus he's wearing a Ducati sweatshirt. So, all right. So, I just took my duck out the other day. It was fun. And yeah, I have a situation. Actually, I've already done it. And, I have a company that helps me in recruiting. It's kind of hit and miss. A lot of it is outside of my area, and it just opened up a whole new category, really. And so I was working with a couple agents in Atlanta, Georgia, and I happen to know, James and Tam Massey pretty well, and so we've already hooked them up. We already set it up. And one thing in Jackie's illustration, it's my understanding that actually the sponsor gets the FLQA. The sponsor gets the FLQA and the stock, I believe. I may be mistaken on that, but that's the way Russ explained it on the video, and that was my understanding. So,
Well, see, because I think what happens is the co-sponsor ends up being frontline to you. So
Right.
then the agent will be frontline to the co-sponsor. So I think that's why Jackie was saying that they
okay,
get
I
the
see what you're saying.
FLQA.
Yeah, because then the agent that's the co-sponsor that's frontline to me is an FLQA to me then.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, good. That
By the way,
I appreciate that.
I will tell you guys, let's address the FLQA thing, because there's something else that you may or may not be aware of. The FLQA system, where you can separate the FLQA from the sponsor as long as it is in your line, that is still in place right now.
Right.
Okay, so that is, if you don't need, by the way, FLQAs, and you want to be compensated for transferring an FLQA, I'm volunteering for to provide compensation. So contact me about that. But in that case, though, you have to ensure that it is in your line. Okay. But I will say, I was just mentioning this to somebody else this morning, is that now with all of the different mechanisms that we have, the FLQA concern is not near what it used to be.
No.
People were running entire production teams just because they wanted to have FLQAs. That is not necessary now.
Yeah.
Jackie?
Yes.
Oh,
Hey.
I did have one comment. So
Yeah.
we already went through this process. I was in contact with Tony King, and Brent and I had this conversation too. If you sponsor somebody now, and apparently all the way from February 24th to when it was announced, all the way up to when they actually launch the co-sponsoring system and have the technology in place to do it, you can sponsor somebody if it's after February 24th, and you can insert the co-sponsor in once the program's in place. How you do that is there's exceptions. You have to let, and I did this with Tony King, I let the person that we sponsored in, sponsored and then co-sponsored in Atlanta, I just gave that information, who the co-sponsor is, who the new agent is, and the fact that we're the sponsor, and put that as of record with Tony King. But there is Randy Bird just put out a message that has where you send it to. It's eXp exceptions, and you send it information. You give all the details of the of what's taking place, so they have a record of it for when the co-sponsoring comes into place. And so that was my input. But we have like 4 people lined up right now. 2 of them in Atlanta, a couple of them in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's just it's a mind blower. I mean, it's what we can do with this is phenomenal.
It really is. And you guys, I don't think that people are even thinking big enough around it. Obviously, Paul got it because he has carved out, and I want to say, rightly so, right? Because what happened was Paul came onto everybody's radar because Brent shined a light on him and said, hey, here's a guy that's helping other people. And it turned out to be true. He was offering himself without any benefit to himself, right? And now it's almost like the universe conspired for you, Paul. So I just love that happened. But it is, you guys, I really want you to think big around this. Like we now have, like, we're very blessed that we have a very strong organization from a recruiting perspective. Okay, the majority of you that are on this call don't have to worry about co-sponsorship because you got one badass upline. Okay, but not everybody has that. Okay, so now what's happened is everyone in this company can draw on 87,000 different talents, right? So there's no reason you could have all 7 of the people in your upline leave the company and still have incredible support in recruiting with this new system. It's just so darn cool. Go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, this is available now. However, we're cautioned against like broadcasting this live to the whole world until May 1st. So just a heads up, you can't Brent's encouraged us not to like broadcast it. but it is available. So just like Clark was saying, you know, put it in motion. It can happen today, and but we just can't broadcast it till May 1st.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't be making social posts around this, for example. Right. Okay. I want to wrap up here in a second, but what I'm hoping that you guys are leaving with is I now have a world of resources and talent available to me to take down, you know, the 800-pound gorilla if need be, right? I could have, I really want you guys to be thinking, who do I know in the US that I have a personal relationship with where I could get a co-sponsor in their market where maybe they could go to an office? Because, you know, it's, you want to be thinking it's not just about getting these people into the company. You want them to have a great experience. And if they can come in and then join a local office where they can go and collaborate and have the energy of that, because I can tell you, we're cloud-based brokerage, right? And, you know, you guys were fortunate. You do come to the team meeting, but it's possible to get lost out there in cyber world if you're not connecting with people. So I do want you to be thinking, okay, I've got somebody in Tallahassee. Who does eXp have in Tallahassee? Does anybody have an office? Right? And do your homework and then say, hey, you know, I've got this person. Would you be, if I can get them engaged, would you be interested in having coffee with them? And would you like to have more people subletting space from you? Right? And then you can probably get a recruit that you wouldn't otherwise get. Because if that person is used to going to an office and all of a sudden they now have to do cloud-based brokerage, we might not retain them in some cases. Okay. All right.
Next week,
Hey.
by the way, really quick.
Mhm.
Next week we have a powerful coach, you guys. Like this guy, I sat in his 2-day training, and I think my life is still impacted. And this was about 3 or 4 years ago, I think. He's awesome. He's going to be on next week. You need to join in. It's going to change your life.
Awesome. Great. So obviously Jackie's leading next week and we'll have a great talent for you. Thank you for being here today. And I hope you'll take advantage of this co-sponsorship thing. And I know I'm going to. And I saw it today, you guys. I mean, this person that Tom and I were meeting with has 78 agents, and another team of 60 will come with him if he comes. And instead of trying to get into a pissing match with Spring Benson, we can be partners, right? Now he doesn't have to choose. It's so neat that I hope you guys will really think about how you can leverage it, because it may afford you to, well, like, you know, like Steve Dennison, you know, who's here on the call, you know, he recently got into the practice, and seems like you're doing great, Steve, by the way. I keep seeing your posts with one sale after another, but, you know, truth be told, he probably doesn't have a lot of time or feel like he has a lot of time to do attraction or support somebody that would come aboard. Well, now he could have a partner to help with that, you know. So okay, you guys, I am going to get back to my being on an island in the Mediterranean.
Woo! All right, everybody. Now you got your inspiration, time, fun, and perspiration. Let's go. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.